We're just finishing up a few last minute things, but we are so glad to have everybody here. I know it is hard when spring hits after a long winter. Everybody wants to get out in the garden. So I'm always thrilled when people decide to make the choice to be here and be with us. And for those of you watching remotely, whether now or later on this week, good morning as well. This is a welcoming community, and I am so glad that you are here. I'm Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall. My pronouns are she or they, and I am delighted to be here as the minister of this community. I'm so happy to see everybody today, and I hope that you guys will all stick around afterwards for our potluck nosh. We're going to be getting together and having some goodies. I have to dash. Unfortunately, I switched with Robin. I switched this week. I was preaching, and I'd already made a previous commitment, but I will definitely say hi to everybody before we leave. And so we want to just welcome everyone to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope, for we are Unitarian Universalists. An important ritual in our Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. We have so many different interpretations of this, and we've decided to start kind of moving it out a little bit. So we're going to have some different chalice lightings coming up. But one of the things that we are doing is we're inviting our kids to come up and be our chalice lighters, or to pick a chalice lighter for us as a demonstration of their leadership. So Emily, would you be willing to do that for me today? I invite you, if you're watching elsewhere, to grab your chalice or candle as well, and to join us as we say our unison words projected on our screen. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Will you join with me as you're willing and able in a spirit of prayer and meditation? Spirit of life and spring, we give thanks today for the growth and unfolding beauty we see before us, both in the earth and in this congregation. May we become more and more attuned to the seasons, and like the flowers, may we put our energies toward growing and blooming from within, sharing our beauty, our souls full of love and joy and hope with those that we meet. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you all to take a moment and just get to greet somebody that you don't know as well this morning. I know we have some visitors today as well as some returning members. Make a new connection, and then we're going to start singing our first hymn, number 1012. It's going to be projected on the wall or in our teal hymnals.
So it is a tradition here at the Metro East UU congregation to place each of our services within the larger principles and sources that we as Unitarians agree that we hold dear. We are a religion that has no requirement of creed or belief. Nobody is going to say that you have to believe a certain thing to be a member here. But we do have things that we support overall, our values and our way of being together as community. Today, our service is drawn from our third and fourth principles: acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth, and the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. All year, I've been trying to root us in these principles as a community, even though at General Assembly we're preparing for a vote that may very well change the language or the way that they're approached. What won't change, though, is the commitment to looking for and encouraging in one another the values and the approach that centers love in our congregations. We center ourselves not in justice, not in hellfire, not in some kind of damnation, but in love, in justice that says we must love ourselves, and then we must also love our neighbors of all kinds, cheering each other on and holding each other up, looking for what is good in one another. This is who we are and what we do. I invite us all to be in a spirit of worship. And as part of that worship, we take time now to express our joys, concerns, and sorrows. What we invite you all to do is to go ahead and process around. There is a gap at the back, but please be careful because there are stairs. We're doing the best we can in the room here. But we'll invite you, as you are willing and able, to come forward and take stones and to place them into the water and then return back to your seats through the back. If you have a mobility challenge and want someone else to place stones for you, please just raise your hand. And anybody else that can see that will happily take some stones and place them for you. Let us be in a spirit of prayer and meditation.
So historically, we call this our children's moment, but the reality is that I hope we are all children at heart, at least a little bit, because we all need a little bit of wonder and magic and joy to get through the day. When I go on a walk, I have a 4-year-old, he's almost 5, he'll be 5 in June, and it is amazing the things that little ones see on a walk. We can go around the same little cul-de-sac every day and find new treasures every time that just have to come home. Whether it's a stick or a pine cone or a worm that is wiggling across that we have to save, there's always something magical on these trips. So it is my hope that as we watch these videos together as a community, that we're not just doing it for the children, but that we're also able to find something in these for ourselves as well. So this week, we're reading a book, it's a video, of I Can Do Hard Things by Gabby Garcia. This is actually a series that this author has written of mindful affirmations. So my hope is that each one of us will find somewhere in here an affirmation for our own souls this week.
I Can Do Hard Things, Mindful Affirmations for Kids by Gabby Garcia, illustrated by Charity Russell. I don't always feel brave, confident, or strong. Sometimes it's easier to follow others along. I get so many messages about how I should be, pulled in different directions. I feel wobbly. When this happens, I listen for that quiet voice inside. When I pay attention, that voice is my guide. I connect with the love and strength it brings. It helps me remember I can do hard things. I can be a friend to myself. I can feel all my feelings. I can ask for help. I can try again rather than give up. I can believe in myself. I can speak up when it would be easier to stay quiet. I can say no, even to my friends. I can apologize. I can forgive. I can listen to understand different points of view. I can care for my community. I can choose kindness. I can practice peace. I can share my gifts with the world. I can be myself. Hard things can be about what we think, feel, say, or do. What's hard for me may not be hard for you. You are you, and I am me. We walk through the world differently. Trusting my voice helps me find my way. I grow braver and stronger every day. The tough stuff I face is all my own. But I can also remember I'm not alone. I'm ready for the hard things I have to do. And please remember, so are you. Thank you for reading with me. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel to hear more.
Our next hymn is in the gray hymnal or on the wall. It's number 345. With joy we claim the growing light. Well, good morning again, everybody. Both of those of you who are here in the sanctuary and the rest of you who I know are having fun somewhere else, but also watching this online. So today, I'm really trying to drill down and put these principles into practice. And I love our principles, I really do. But you can absolutely tell that they were written by committee, and that makes them a little bit harder to put into practice. They tend to be more abstract things and big ideals, but not necessarily things that you feel you can kind of put on the ground or put some teeth into. I'm one of those people, I like very practical things. And so for me, I always want there to be like a little guidebook, like here is how you do principle 1 with like 10 illustrations, and things I can do. So I can't give you that, especially because I don't know what they're going to do to it in a couple of months. But today, I'm going to look at how we can actually do the work of both accepting one another and encouraging our spiritual growth and having a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. When I was trying to put the principles together for the sermons that I've had over this last year, it really struck me that we've really embedded a lot of contradictions in these terms. Again, thank you so much, work by committee. So, first of all, how can we both accept people fully where they are and encourage them to grow? This is one of the things that I think as Unitarians we struggle with the most. Because every one of us wants to be accepted where we are, but the truth is every one of us, even me, although I'm very polished, but still, right? Every one of us has a rough edge or two somewhere. There is inevitably something, or as my husband would love to tell you, right? Your minister has many a fault. So the question is, how can we do this? How can we accept people and love them for who they are and what they bring to this group and what they bring to our world, but also encourage that polish, encourage, softening the hard edges while not becoming a negative or shame-based religion? Because Lord knows we do not need any more of those. How can we support a free and responsible search for truth in a world where there is a group that is screaming fake news every time things aren't going their way? And even more importantly, how can we make a lasting difference in our lives and in the community we serve through these principles? So I went back and forth, and Joy was mentioning today, because Joy is our wonderful pianist who also does our slideshows. And so she was saying that it was amazing watching me on Google Docs as I was writing the sermon this week, because if you logged back in 2 hours later, the sermon was completely different. Because I went back and forth, I started and stopped all of these different ideas, and it was like I knew there was something in here that I wanted to express, but I was really struggling with getting this fuzzy thing in my head into something that could inspire a group to change the world and to build up the community. And then it kind of hit me that that's actually what we're doing here every single week. We're trying to take the fuzzy things in our brains, the causes, the beliefs, the feelings that make up our sense of purpose, the reason why all of you got out of bed this morning and came to a place. It's very easy to sleep in on Sunday mornings if you don't have a 4-year-old at home. But, it's very easy to stay at home. It's hard to get up and make a decision to come to a place. Why do you do that? Well, you do that because there's something in you that wants to be expressed. But it's hard. It's hard to take those fuzzy things and express them out. We gather as a community because in hearing from different voices and different perspectives, different songs, different videos, different books, we're able to kind of hear out loud some of the things that are fuzzy in our head, but maybe are clear to someone else. So as we gather together, we're trying to find new expressions of the things we know to be true. Today, I had another task to add on to something that is already pretty hard. Today, I'm here to kick off pledge season, which is usually an onerous task for Unitarian Universalists, because the two things we hate to talk about the most in our religion is God and money. But the truth of the matter is, money does make the world go round, and without it, this community does not exist. Our treasurer is nodding at me. We do have to have funds to keep the lights on, to pay for my salary, to pay for speakers who come in who aren't members of the congregation, to help buy supplies for RE programming, to have our music, to keep the Zoom room going so that we can have a presence online for when people are sick or unable to be here. Without money, all of those things and the intangibles that go with it. You know, the number of times I talk to someone, and even if they haven't darkened the door of this church, they're just like, just knowing that there's a place where my family could be welcome gives them hope. I went to Pride last year in Tower Grove, right? So most of those people are never going to come to the Metro East. But as I was giving blessings to people, just blessing them for who they were, the amount of tears that brought to people who had said that never in their life has someone in a stole and a collar told them they were loved. That is why we give, okay? It's not about making the biggest bucks. It's not about having the biggest congregation or the biggest building. I mean, obviously, we're not in it for the biggest whatevers, right? But what we're here for is to offer hope and love and justice to a community where there's not a lot of that. Now, we're really lucky on the Illinois side that we don't have laws that are dehumanizing people the way where I live, just across the border in Missouri. It's a real thing, right? Like, and I've spoken before how my family lives in fear of this because at any point someone can call DHS and say things simply because my family exists, because Missouri is so hateful. And so we wonder and we worry and we stress. One of my good colleagues is dealing with this. He's a rabbi and has a transgender child. And they are in the process of having to move out of state because their child can't get the medical care they need to survive. This is why we gather in our communities, to provide a space where those folks can come and know they are safe and welcome. We have people who come into our communities across the metro where this is the only place they can be who they are. They can't be who they are at work or at home, oftentimes not even with friends. Because one of the problems, especially in the queer community, is they've been hurt so much by religion that if you're a person of faith, you can't belong in the queer community. And if you're in the queer community, so it's like, how do you do this? Because faith doesn't want queers and queers don't want faith. And so how do you be all of the person you are? You do it by being here. So we exist for a reason. But the problem is how do we do this in a time? How do we do this in a time when housing is utterly unaffordable? Wages are stagnant, the rich get richer every day, and the poor are poor, and the middle class is squeezed beyond our ability to cope. The response of this hasn't changed since Bible times. I figured if I'm talking about money, I might as well talk about the Bible too, because I'll just talk about all the things we hate at once. But the truth is, the basics of providing for a faith community really haven't changed, right? So in the Jewish scripture, and that translated over into the Christian scripture, the idea was that about 10% of what you earn is a good goal for charity giving. The reason being, that's about what it takes to have a community center, a spiritual center that can thrive. Some give less, some give more, but the average should be about there. Now, we can make do with less. We are making do with less. But the thing is there's a bare minimum to keep the lights on, and then there's enough to actually get out in the community and do more, you know? The thing is that commercial rent is as bad as personal rent and how expensive it is. We have been amazingly blessed, and I just want to thank the Masons 1,000 times over for being willing to offer us this space at such an affordable price. Because without that, we would be in a very dire straits, indeed. But if we want the community to grow, if we want our vision to spread, if we want our mission to get out past the walls, then we need that 10% wisely spent to get the job done. Now, here's the thing. In a lot of churches, that's where they stop, right? They stop by saying, well, you've got to give your 10%, and if you're not doing it, then you're a bad person. This is where we're different, and this is where Sermon on Money is different for Unitarian Universalists. I'm being blunt because I'm not wanting to make you feel bad, because I grew up in a house where if we gave 10% of our money to the church, we didn't have food to eat. So I am not here to guilt you. I want you to eat, okay? I want you to put a roof over your head and food on your table and clothes on your back before you think about charity giving. You must take care of yourself for two reasons. First of all, because it's the humane thing to do, and I'm not here to advocate for inhumane treatment of my parishioners or anyone else. And second of all, because if you sacrifice like seriously harm your own family and yourself to provide for something else, you're going to resent that thing. Okay? You shouldn't resent your spiritual home. Okay? So this idea of martyring yourself for your spiritual home just breeds resentment, and it festers and becomes nasty, and it comes out in all kinds of awful ways. I've seen it. So that's not what I'm asking for. What I am saying is that if you've got, job insecurity, huge medical bills, kids in college, parents or partners with aging and illness, it's overwhelming, and it's okay. We're not asking those folks to give that much. See, there's a story in the Christian Bible, in the Gospel of Luke. Jesus goes to the temple with his followers, and they are all stoked because they see this guy, those giant checks that they bring out whenever somebody's made a big donation, right? Like there's this dude with this huge check, and all the people in the temple are like, ooh, applause. And all his disciples are so excited. Look at that guy. He's giving so much money to the temple. And Jesus goes, yeah, okay, fine. But you see that gal over there? And you're like, yeah, so what? It's some little old lady putting 2 nickels in the plate. Like, whatever. And Jesus goes, she's giving more than all the rest of these people combined because she's giving with her heart. And her gift matters. Now, Jesus made a big point about taking gifts from anyone and appreciating the small ones when they were given from the heart. Okay, what if you don't believe in God or don't care about Jesus' message? Here I have a cause for you as well. Dylan Matthews wrote an excellent article for Vox called I Give 10% of My Income to Charity, and You Should Too. Here he makes a purely secular case. Now again, this is a guy who makes lots of money, right? He's already got a roof over his head, food on his table, clothes on his back. He's talking excess. I want you to hear that, and if you get nothing else out of my message, I am not asking anyone to harm themselves for the church. It's not healthy. It's not good. Don't do it. But when we're talking a purely secular case, he says this. Do you ever wonder if your life has meaning? If it makes any kind of difference to the world? I want to live a life that means something, that leaves things ever so slightly better than I found them. I want to be pursuing goals that aren't just material. I don't want to just mark the progression of my life through raises and promotions, or fall victim to the subtle pressures that push me to spend more and more of my money on gadgets and furniture that make me progressively less happy. I'm talking about a problem that, for me, giving 10% of my income away helps solve. 1, it helps establish a baseline meaning or impact from my work. If nothing else, I know that the money I make through my job is contributing to saving people's lives. That is a source of real meaning and pride. 2, it provides a powerful counterforce to the treadmill that comes as you age and make more money. Again, it's a white rich man who assumes that he's on this treadmill of upward. So I do understand there are limits to him, okay? But a treadmill that pushes you to spend more money to keep up with your peers or feel like you're living better. Yeah, there's times where I don't take as nice a vacation as my friends, or where I feel cheap because I have Wayfair furniture instead of solid wood from Pottery Barn. But mostly I'm thankful, because after you reach a certain level of baseline comfort, additional consumer spending is a seductive lie. One of the few weapons I have against it is the knowledge that I face a very real choice between getting something amazing for my next vacation and saving a human being's life. That lets me resist the former and live a life that feels just a tiny bit more meaningful. Again, you got to know that the basics have to be covered. And he even says that. You have to have the baseline, right? So for some of you, you're not at this place. And that's okay. No one in this building, no one watching online should ever be shamed for where they are in life. I want you to hear that and really deeply to the bottom of your soul know that. You are loved and you are welcome and you are awesome for being here, for being you. As a minister, and I know we have visitors, so I'm going to say it again, I say this a lot and I'll keep saying it a lot, I will never know how much anyone gives to this church. I don't want to know. There's like 2 people that know, our treasurer and our bookkeeper, and that's pretty much it. Okay, the rest of us know nothing, and I personally am going to keep it that way. Because my ministry is not dependent on how much money you give us. That's not healthy. Because then it becomes this kind of one-upsmanship of like, oh, well, that person's rich, so we're going to give them care, and this other person's poor, so we're not. That goes against every value we hold as a congregation. Like, that is completely anti-UU. What I'm talking about is if you're at a place where you've got those basics met, where are there things that give you the joy that giving gives? So my credit card, I am one of those people that I'm a goal setter. Like, goals make me happy. So my credit card gives me a cool pie chart every year. Maybe some of you have one of those. And like, it tells you how much you're spending on each category of income. And I decided, you know what? I want to see the charity slice get bigger every year. And so what we started doing as a family, and again, no shame if you can't do this, right? There's no shame even if you have money and you don't want to do this. That's fine. I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm just sharing my story. But the thing is that I decided I wanted the slice to get bigger because it gives me a rush when I need a goal. Like, when I can check a thing on a checkbox, I am a happy camper. Like, check. Or maybe it's just me. I will write down the things I've already done in the day so I can have the rush of checking. Yes, okay, I'm not alone. I am not alone. Hallelujah. Okay. So now we know who in the congregation has this issue. Okay. But yeah, it's true. It motivates me like nothing else does. So every year I started looking at it, and so I decided what I was going to do is I wasn't going to starve myself. I wasn't going to starve my family. God forbid if we don't have chocolate for my child. This is not going to happen. But what we did is we started looking at Aldi's. You know, Aldi's is like half the price of some of the other supermarkets in town. So the first thing we would do is we'd go to Aldi's and we'll say, okay, well, what are the things that are similar and what can we get for cheaper, right? So in doing that, we cut our food budget almost in half, even with inflation being insane. So by doing that, we then freed up a pot of money that we could put towards charity. Cool. So for me, that was the rush, was this like, oh, look, if I do this thing over here and I do this thing over there, like, yay, I get another chink on the pie chart. Made me very happy. I know this maybe is not exciting to most of you, but to me, it was super exciting. But I also want to know, I want everybody to know, you know, if you're not in that place, if you're underemployed or unemployed, if you're struggling to keep the lights on metaphorically or in reality, then what you're in is a different place. I use the tarot a lot in my psychological things that I do with people, and one of the cards is the Wheel of Fortune, right? And what it says is wherever you're at on the wheel, it's going to keep turning. So if you're on top of the wheel, then look at your pie chart and see where you can give, see where you can find more. Be excited about giving more to the things that matter to you. But if you're not, right, if you're on the bottom of the wheel, then it's your turn to learn how to receive. And in America, that is a harder thing to do. We like the power that comes from being able to give. It is so gosh darn hard to learn to receive. When I'm in my wheelchair, which I am a part-time wheelchair user with my rheumatoid arthritis, and you know, when I'm going places, having to ask people to open the door or to reach something on a shelf, it sticks like right there, and it doesn't want to come out. And having to be the person that's asking for help or receiving help, that is another spiritual lesson. And it's one that is a lot harder and more uncomfortable for me than the pie chart. Pie chart's exciting. It's a checkbox. I love it. But another spiritual lesson that some of you are in this place right now is you have to learn to receive, and our congregation is here to help you receive in a way that is not shaming or blaming or making you feel gross, but just saying, hey, I've been there. You've been there. You're going to be there again. Because the reality of that Wheel of Fortune is wherever you are on it, you know, it's going to roll around. Maybe it's physical this time. Maybe it's emotional next time. Maybe it's mental the time after that. Whatever it is, it goes around and around. And so wherever you are today, our love and our commitment to be in community with you are not dependent on your donation. It is not dependent on how many Sundays you sign up for something, on how many things you do in this community. What we hold is a core value of love is because we know that when you're here for long enough, it all comes around. You know, that's the whole point of a spiritual community. I have a very dear friend who is going through grief right now, 2 of them, and one has been a part of a spiritual community for 50 plus years. Another has not. And I can see the marked contrast between the person who has been supporting others for a long time and now is learning to get support, and the person who doesn't have that community and is now trying to build it in the midst of overwhelming grief. It's so hard. The point of being here in community, the point of having this community, the point of giving what money you're able to, whatever that is, if it's 5 cents, if it's no cents, whatever it is. The point of doing that is so we have a community, so it'll be here for the long run, so that you can be here for the long run, so that when the wheel turns up, you can do more and give more, and when the wheel turns down, you can receive and you can be, supported in your time of trouble. That is the point of church. It's not about shame, it's not about blame, it's not about parading the top 10 donors, and it's not about, making a big deal out of somebody when they have a rough time. It's about having it be together. It comes around and it evens out. Sometimes you're going to be physically active and able to do stuff, and sometimes you're not. That's okay. Sometimes you're financially better off and can give and can do, and sometimes you're not. And that's okay. Acknowledging these cycles, acknowledging where you're at, and doing what you're able to. Again, whether that's giving or receiving. That is important for us as a community. We need to learn that. We need to learn to give and to receive. It was really hard. The board really struggled with giving up the building and having to basically depend on the charity of the Masons for a place to go. I mean, honestly. It's hard not having our own space. We want it back. And we will again. Again, though, we're on that place in the wheel where we're having to receive more, right? And grow and build ourselves up. And then we'll be a place that will become a community hub that will then invite everyone in, and we'll be that place where people come to receive. But right now, we're kind of on that bottom piece, and that's okay. We'll get through this. We'll move on. We just got to invest in ourselves and in our communities a little bit more every time we can. Our solid relationships, be they in a spiritual community or in our own personal lives, need drip irrigation. Floods are no good. And we see that when we've had a drought for a long time and then all of a sudden we get 2 inches of rain, everything flash floods and there's no benefit to it at all. It's when we get the long, gentle, soaking rain that it opens the earth up and it lets it be soft enough that the rain can get down and be really nourishing in the roots. It's the same thing with our own personal relationships and with this community. We have to be willing to open ourselves up and be soft, be kept soft by that drip. When people say, well, I don't need to come to church that much, and I say, well, we're not going to shame you if you don't, but the more you can be in community with folks, the more you have opportunities to both give and receive, whether it's emotional care, spiritual care, physical care, the more we can go and be together with each other. Now, I did write this, and I do want to say it because I thought it was funny, and I hope you will too, just as a downpour will turn into a flood and isn't usually very good, one-time gifts tend to do that as well. That said, if any of you want to send this video to Mackenzie Scott, and if she wants to, in the greatness of her generosity of spirit, wants to donate a bunch of money to us so that we can build a queer and woman-affirming community, I will absolutely take that check to the bank. But as fun as it is to dream that a philanthropic billionaire will give us a huge check, the real question is, will that sustain the community? And the answer is no, because a community can't be built just on dollars. And that's something a lot of people forget when they talk about the giant gifts that these philanthropic people give. They're nice and they do some stuff, but what keeps the community going is the people who show up in the good times and the bad times, in the rain and the wind and the mud and the floods and all the things that we as a community have been through in the last soon time. It keeps us soft and it keeps us open. So when we look at this 10%, I'm sure that poor widow was not able to give 10% of her income. So if you're not there, that's okay. Ask yourself if there's something you can do to open yourself. Is it that you're in a place where you can give? Or is it that you're in a place where you need to receive? Is it a place where you can give a little more financially? If you can't give money, is there some time? We have some awesome people stepping up to offer sermons and offer a service since I'm only part-time. I know you're going to be here next week or the week after. Yeah, next week. Ian's going to be here. I'm so sad I'm going to miss it. Is there something that you can do in the community maybe that you're already doing? Excuse me. Allergies are really annoying. But if there's a day you can help out doing something you're already doing, and you can do it wearing a Metro East shirt, so that people know that you're doing this not only out of the love of your own heart, which is there, but also because your community, your spiritual home supports the values. Whether it's being at the food pantry or cleaning up trash or whatever it is that you're doing. Don't think one and done. Think about, is there something else you can pick up at the grocery store? Whenever we go to Dollar Tree for something, we buy a couple of jars of peanut butter. They're $1. It's cheap peanut butter. But you know what? I've been the person getting the dollar store peanut butter, and it's just as filling as any other. So when you're in that place where you need to receive that, it's delicious and it tastes great. So whatever you can do, if folks all added $1 every time they pledged, monthly or weekly or however you do it, we'd add a few $1,000s to our budget this year. Again, however you're blessed, be a blessing to others. If you're not blessed at this point, be open to receiving from our community and let me know what you need. Sometimes people just need a hug. It's always a blessing to me when somebody comes up and they're like, can I just have a phone call this week, or would you give me a hug, or can we just talk? It's like, yes, that's what we're here for. We're here to help each other. It's not just me, it's everyone. Everyone here is here to help each other and to help this community. When we do that, it helps us be better human beings. Most of all, though, if we all fill out our pledge cards soon, then we don't have to be uncomfortable by listening to somebody preach about money again this year. Amen and blessed be. Our final hymn today is number 354 in the Gray Hymnal. We laugh, we cry. Jennifer, could I ask you to grab the baskets? Be that way. As Jennifer passes around her offering basket, I offer the reminder that our community of faith is supported only by your giving. If you are a guest here for the first time, please let the service be our gift to you. There is no anticipation that you will give today. Also, we do need to know who is giving. So if you are a pledger, we need to know because we've got our envelopes. You're welcome to grab those to contribute that towards your pledge. Also, we do have all kinds of ways to give electronically and other things. If you need information on that, our wonderful treasurer, Nancy, will be happy to walk you through any of that as well. Give what you will and what you are able, for you are generous and awesome people. I invite you to join with me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. All right, so I have a couple of announcements, and then if anybody else has any, just wave at me madly. So first and foremost, we're excited that Ian Reed, one of our new members, is going to be giving a presentation next week, a sermon. My brain just completely turned off, y'all. I'm so sorry. It's like, nope, you're done. You sang your last hymn. We're out. Okay, sorry. Let's try that one again. So Ian's going to be speaking next week, so we're super excited to hear from him. And I'm so sorry I will not be here, but I will absolutely be watching it online. So no pressure, but I'm excited to hear it. So, all right, and other things that are coming on. So on Mother's Day, Reverend Dr. D. Evans, who is a member of our congregation and also a community minister affiliated with Elliott, is going to be in the pulpit. And then May 19th and 26th, we have some amazing things going on. We're going to do our children's and new members dedication on both of those days. So the 19th is going to be the younger kids dedication, and also any new members that would like to, have their moment to shine, you're welcome to join us on that day. May 26th is going to be our older youth. They're going to give a credo if they want, or just be honored for their hard work this year, talking about what they believe and what they think and how they think. And again, if you can't make one Sunday, but you would like to be honored in the next, either one of those is acceptable. And then that day we'll also be having our potluck. So we've got that. We need more volunteers. Set up and breakdown. It's the hardest thing we do here. If you have the physical capacity to haul a chair or a cushion or to move a pew, they do have sliders, so it's not super heavy or anything. But if you have balance issues or mobility issues, I don't recommend it. But for those folks who can, we do actually have to break down after service today, as well as set up and break down. We've got some, what are the things with paper on them, clipboards in the lobby over there, and that'll have that. What else? Anna Dees is meeting this week, and then other than that, that's what I have. You'll start getting your official pledge cards out soon for our members. Anything else that I'm missing? Cool. Then let's extinguish our chalice. If you will join me in extinguishing our chalice. We've extinguished this chalice, but not the light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. Though we are keepers of this flame until we meet again. Wherever you are on the wheel of fortune or life, may we know this community is here for us. May those who are downtrodden feel the support and love that they need. May those who are in a good place be celebrated and encouraged to help others. With time, talent, and treasure, may we each live out our principles this day and throughout the year. Amen, and blessed be. Go forth in peace. Yes, there's potluck, so please come join us for some food.